Hello. This is Uni again. Welcome to Higher and Beyond podcast. Wow, this is an excited because it's already episode 20, I think, or 21. Anyway, I forgot about it. But as usual, I have my special guest speaker here with me, Stacy Anderson. Hi, Stacy.
Hello.
Thank you very much for joining me.
No problem. Thank you for inviting me. I'm looking forward to this.
It's a pleasure. Okay,
Mm.
so Stacy, I'm going to introduce you to our audience who's watching this video. And for all of you guys who's watching this video, Stacy Anderson is a mentor and an ecologist. So Stacy also one of my inspiration in my life journey. I'm so happy that I have Stacy here with me, and it's so curious because our topic today is about parenting for special need for the kids, right, Stacy? As your specialize, yeah, you
Mm.
specialize in helping the kids with disability and etc. And I'm so curious about it as a life coach and mentor. Um, what is it that inspire you as a life coach that have a special, specialize in helping these kids who has disability? Would you
Okay.
like to share to us?
Yeah. Well, before I went down the parenting journey, I worked in kitchens. So I was a cook. I was preparing meals for 400 people, and that was basically my life. I used to do that from 7 till 3, Monday to Friday, weekends off. That was my life. But when I became a mum, it's what I always wanted to be. I wanted to be a parent. But then, especially with my middle son, there was complications. So I knew that there was something. He wasn't like every other child, and I know I get it what child is, but he used to headbutt, he used to bite, he used to spit, kick, punch, hair pull, and I thought this doesn't sit right with me. So I got him professional help, and it turned out that he was autistic.
Okay.
So as a parent, it's you automatically go into the blame game. It's like, oh my god, it's my fault. Oh my god, I've been a terrible parent. Oh my god, it's just something that I've done wrong. So I completely abandoned the job, and that's when I became a full time mum because I felt like my my efforts had to be at home. That's where I felt I had to be. So my oldest son, he had a mental delay when he was younger, but he overshot the runway. He was fine. And then Jaden, who was autistic, and then Robert. Robert ended up with severe anxiety disorder. So I'm sitting here as a full time mum. I've got a supportive partner who went out to work every day, and I didn't know how. I didn't have anywhere to turn. I didn't have any support groups to go to. If there was like parent and children groups, it was all about the children. There was no support there for the parents. So I went through a long time of constantly beating myself up that it was something that I was doing wrong. And it was just, it was a parenting class that I went to. And I can remember one of the teachers saying to me, if we think it's difficult as a parents, how do we think the kids are going through? Because they have to go through this battle in their mind all the time. They're trying to do what's coming naturally to them, but we're constantly telling them that it's wrong. So that's when I kind of like took a step back and go, wow, this isn't about me. This is about how I can show up for my kids. How can I help them cope with um, their mindsets? And that was when I really found my calling because I saw these little people who struggled to just really build up and their confidence and their independence. And that was when I just went, there's something in this. I get such a sense of fulfillment. Even though being a full time parent can be fulfilling, this was on a whole different level. So that's where my whole sort of journey into special needs began.
Wow. Well, from all of this personal journey of parenting a special needs child, and it's something that also you said about realization that your child has had a special needs.
Mm.
Uh, Now, what advice would you give to parents who are going through a similar experience like what you have
Mm.
right now? Because this is something that's not easy, and I must say this is challenging for
Mhm.
some parents.
It is. And again, if we can find it really hard to cope with, especially the behaviour and everything like that, it's get down to your children's level, see them where they are rather than where you want them to be. One thing that was such a huge step in the right direction for me personally was acceptance. As much as I wanted my children to be something normal, whatever
Yeah.
normal was, I had to accept that that was never going to be the case. So I accepted my sons had a special needs, but I wouldn't let that define who they were. A lot of parents cling on to the diagnosis and say there's something wrong with my children.
Yeah.
That's where the some of the problems can lie. It's like, okay, accept that your child has got a diagnosis, but work on their strengths. Because with special needs children, whatever they lack, they gain in something else. Let the experts work on what they lack, but the parents can work on their strengths. And that also builds a bond with the children and the parents. It also builds trust between the parents and the children. Because the children are not constantly told off and told what's right and what's wrong. They're just accepted for who they are. And that can be I was very much a hands-on parent with our Jaden, who was autistic, and he was forever on the naughty step. He was forever getting consequences. You see, when I backed off from his behaviour, and I actually started to understand why, that was when me and him started working together rather than butting heads all the time. Because he could see that I was there to see him, and I was looking past the diagnosis. I was looking past the special needs. Kids crave that. Kids are very resilient, and sometimes it's the parents that are going through the worst thing, and the kids are just getting on with it.
Yeah.
So, how can we understand our children better? Is by getting down to their level and connecting with them.
Yeah. And what are some common misconceptions people about parenting special needs children that you'd like to clarify? Because you mentioned is okay,
Mm-hmm.
this kids are resilient,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
and as a parent, it's acceptance is so
Mm-hmm.
important, right?
Acceptance and understanding.
Yeah.
As soon as I went through this, and I know parents who have went through this, as soon as their children have been diagnosed with a disability or a special need,
Mm.
they automatically think that the kids aren't capable.
Mm.
So it's like my son Jaden, he's impulsive, so I have to be very careful when it comes to him building up his independence, and he's very easily led. But it's it's using that connection with him and the trust that we've built up together for me to be able to take that step back and say, right, okay, you're not going to be as advanced as some kids. That doesn't mean you're not going to get there. It might just take a little bit more time. And because I'm open and honest with that, and it's not just a constant no, you're not doing this because you don't know how to. It's like, okay, let's see if we can work together to get you to that stage. So it's taking traditional parenting and flipping it on its head. Instead of turning up as a parent who knows everything, like you will do as I say, I'm the parent, so ha 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 ha. I'm going
Yeah.
to assert my authority. That doesn't work. That doesn't work.
Yeah.
So it's they'll let us know when they're ready. And it's just a little bit at a time just to build up that trust. So mhm.
Yeah. And what I see here, you have the awareness about parenting style, especially in the special needs child. I'm curious the about this thing, that how has parenting a special needs child actually affected your family dynamics and relationship? Is that affect in your family dynamics and relationship?
Excuse me. Yeah. Um, I wouldn't say it's affected it. It's it's rose awareness in the family relationships. Um, but we also there is some family members that we cannot spend time with because of our Jaden because he's loud. He's got one volume and it's loud. And some people can get overwhelmed and they keep telling them to be quiet. So it's like they haven't got that understanding that that's just the way he communicates.
Yeah.
And instead of talking to him about why is he shouting, bring it down, they're just constantly telling him to be quiet.
Yeah.
Um, but again, it's special needs was never a thing when I was a kid. It was always just a naughty boy or a naughty girl, a naughty child sitting in the corner in the classroom, and but there was never like a mental health disorder, or special needs, or disabilities, or mental deficiency, or anything like that. Um, so there's a lot of awareness about it now, but it's like the two sided of one coin. You've got people who don't believe in it, and it's just children are being naughty. But you get the other flip side of it, where they stop their children from doing everything because they're not allowed to do it because they've got this diagnosis, and families will not allow them to do anything. So the kids are kind of caught in the middle here,
Yeah.
and it's. I know it's scary. I know parents do it through fear. So it's having that place. That's what I'm working on. Is having that place to go and invent this stuff. No judgment, no blame, no right or wrong. It's just get here, find out exactly what's going on. Because also with being parents, and there's disruption in the dynamic of the parent and child relationship. There's some people can be so quick to blame the child, but how often do we look at ourselves and say, right, what part are we playing in this?
Oh wow. Yeah. Mm.
So it's being humble, it's taking a step back from that parent authority, because I don't care if you're special needs or not. Like I am living in a household with 5 people. I've got me, my partner, and my 3 boys. Now that is that is 5 very different personalities.
Yeah.
And if we don't stop and take stock, it could really. get out of hand because everybody's so different from everybody else. But that's where
Exactly.
the acceptance comes in. That's where the understanding comes in. That's where the communication comes in. It's keeping all those things open for your children to grow the way they need to grow. I can be there to support my son. He's the one that has to let me know what he needs. I can't tell him what he needs. Only he can tell me that.
Yeah. So it sounds like, as a parents who have a special needs child, we must have the self awareness first
Mm-hmm.
and understand who actually ourselves
Yeah.
about. Okay. Stacy, moving on to, as a mentor and an ecologist and a life coach, you've been practicing this and you've been working on this um, issue, I must say, in your life in the past few years. I'm curious, what are some important skills or perhaps strategies that parents can learn to better support and advocate for their special needs child?
One of the things that I find is very important is active listening.
Hmm.
Um, a lot of people, or not even parents, just people in general, they talk to be heard, and they listen to respond. But if you just show up for your child, just take that time with absolutely no agenda, with no input of your own, and just listen to what the child is saying. But what's equally as important is listening to what the child isn't saying. So you listen to body language, you watch for facial expressions, tone of voice, eye contact, hand movements. Everything is a communication. And children are very, if they want to be open, I've always said if you want to know the truth in something, ask a child because they will tell you from brain to mouth with no filter whatsoever. So just take that time to just listen to what they've got to say without telling them they're wrong or you don't agree or you think of something else. Just listen.
Okay. So this is one very important skills as a parent who has the kids with the special needs. Any other thing or any other important skills that as a parent, if you have a special needs child, beside of active listening?
I think I wouldn't say it's a skill, it's more like a characteristic, a trait, a
Mm.
value type thing, and that's learn to trust each other.
Okay, trust each other.
Yeah, because like my our Jaden, he's 15 and he's still a little bit like unsure of himself when he goes out, but he wants to have that experience. He wants to go out. So he'll say to me, Mum, can I go into the local retail park, which is like a half an hour walk away from the house? And inside my heart is going, oh my God, do not let him do this. He's such a child, he can't.
Mm.
But at the same time, it's like, he's ready for this because he's coming to me and asking to do this.
Yeah.
So I need to trust him for me. I need to trust him that he can show me that he is that independent, he is that mature enough to do that. So that's how we build up the trust.
Really
It's just,
nice.
but again, taking that step back and just going, I'm here if you need me. But there's also ground rules and things like that. If I find out
Yeah.
that you've been up to no good, don't think I won't find out because I will. The trust will be broken. It'll take me harder, and they've never gave me a reason not to trust them because I'm giving them that space. I think if I was constantly on their backs, they would rebel. But because I'm like, right, okay, there's boundaries. Because children always say, I want my freedom. But kids love boundaries. They love that they know that they're looked after, they're cared for,
Yeah.
but just that little bit of freedom to be who they are.
Hmm.
And yeah, sometimes we forget that because we've been conditioned from our upbringing that parents know best.
Yeah.
But we're coming into a whole different era here. We're coming into a whole different ball game where
Yeah.
it's like, no, I don't know everything about my sons. I don't know what their
Hmm.
wants are, what their needs
Yeah.
are.
Hmm.
They know that. And the more open and honest that I can be with them, the more open and honest that they can be with me.
Ooh. I think this is something that we need, not only the parents who has the special needs for the child, but also for all of the parents. I must say
Yeah.
this active listening and the trust each other is something that as a parent we can learn. I personally I want to learn about it because as you
Mm-hmm.
said, as a parent, I would like you to do this. No, that's no. It's like there's no freedom because as a parent, we define ourselves that I know everything about our kids and things like that. But that's right. Like what you just mentioned, it's you don't know anything, even though with our own kids,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's so interesting anyway. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, even my oldest son, he turned 18 in February, and last month he went to. I live in the Midlands and just outside Birmingham, and our Brandon went to a concert in Manchester, which is 200 miles away north, and he stayed there for 4 days on his own. He went to the concert on his own. He did the travel arrangements on his own. He stayed at the hotel on his own. And again, even though he was 18, it's crazy because when he was a baby, I never let him out my sight. As soon as he went out my peripheral vision, I was like, "Where's my kids? Where's my kids?" But this was huge. The fact that he managed to arrange all this stuff himself, he paid for it himself, and he was so mature and his approach to it and what he was like when he was up there. Of course, I'm going to trust him again. Of course, I'm going to let him crack on and do it again because he acted in such a mature way, which is a great role model for my two youngest boys that are coming up. Because as much as they struggle to get to that level of maturity, they see Brandon doing that, and that's where they want to get to.
Mm,
So I can't say to my son, who's autistic, saying, "No, you cannot do that because you're autistic." I
mm,
can't say that. I can only say, "You're autistic, but that doesn't mean that you cannot get to that space."
yeah.
But a lot of people go, "No, you're autistic, you're not doing it. No, you're autistic, you're not mature enough," which is putting in those limiting beliefs in children. But it's like, no, there's nothing stopping you from doing that. If you let the diagnosis stop you, you're the one that's letting the diagnosis stop you. It's not a
Yeah.
diagnosis, it's a word. It's a word because you do things differently. Doesn't mean that you know less than everybody else. It doesn't mean that it's going to hinder the rest of your life. It means you do things differently. That's it. That's all it means.
Mm,
Now, I've been through the tantrums. I've been through like when he used to bite and headbutt, and I mean the amount of times that I caught him. I mean, he even slashed his little brother's arm open with a Stanley knife, and he was whipping him with like onesies, like of baby grow. He was hitting his little brother with aim. He had him backed into a corner. I mean, I know what it's like to have that sort of, oh my God, he's out of control. But it's how we approach it. If we turn up angry, it's going to exacerbate the situation. So we choose in that moment in time how we want to turn up. And it was after he slashed his little brother's arm, my partner was ready to go to town on him. He was ready to ground him straight to your bed. And I just says to Jaden, I says, have you hurt yourself? He was 5. And I says, have you hurt yourself? And he held his wrist up. He tried to slash his wrist. And I just went, oh my God. So if we had just shouted at him and told him to go to bed, he could have bled out. But because we stopped and said, right, what's happened, what's been going on, are you hurt? It helped him starting to open up. And then after that incident, it was a lot easier because he knew he could come to us to talk to whenever things. He didn't know how to deal with emotions. He still doesn't. He doesn't feel emotions. He doesn't express them. But he'll come and talk about stuff that's going on to help him regulate himself. So it's having that space, it's having that safe space. No child wants to feel unsafe at home. And I know that schools can be a very unsafe space for children. That's my nemesis at the moment is the schools. So if we can provide that safe space for the children when they come home, that is going to be such a catalyst in their behaviour. But if they're getting constantly told off at school, we're getting told about it, they come home, and then we're telling them off at home, it's not going to do any good at all. It's not going to be beneficial to the child. It's not going to be beneficial to the parents. The schools don't care. All they care about is numbers, statistics, grades. They don't care about what the child happens to be going through at that moment in time. It's our job as parents to find that out. I just can't. Being a parent is one of the most magical things, and it's going to test you. It's going to push you to the limits. And I am a part of a few Facebook groups who deal with autism, ADHD, and Asperger's and all that. And they all hate their children. They all hate their children. They all hate being a parent. And it's just like, well, what can you do to bring the fun back into it? You're the parent. What can you do to bring that joy back into being a parent? How can you change the way you see things for you to start communicating with your child? For you to work together. And again, I get the tantrums and everything like that. You feel like you're banging your head against a brick wall. But it's consistency. It's turning up when you say you're going to turn up. It's taking that time when you say you're going to take that time. And it's listening without any judgments that is going to help build that relationship.
Yeah. Well, Stacy.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, 1 minute. It's I think my sound, my voice has come back to me. It's like there's my sound is
Oh,
it's
echo.
really important. What's wrong? Okay. Oh, that's good. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Um, Stacy, it's something that I pick up in the explanation that you just share about sometime the school is not a safe space for children,
Mm-hmm.
and the most safe space for our children is home. And I think it's not only you here that mentioned that. I can tell that I have my kid too, that sometimes there's a lot of things going on at school, and like you mentioned also, they're more into focusing on something else like the grade, the maybe the number, the statistic, whatever it is. But I think I agree with you that we need respect, I must say too, right? We need like understand what is actually the child's need or the skills that they want to be as a person. Because
Mm,
when here's my experience also before when I was a kid. I thought, there's okay, this person is a good grade, this person is blah 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 blah. And then after you finish from school, it's still hard to find a job. It's still so difficult to what do I actually want in my life. So
mhm,
it's something that I don't want to say this is an issue, but it is for me personally. But anyway, going back to the discussion about parenting for a special needs child,
mhm,
and as I know you are a mentor and life coach, been experiencing many things and helping many kids in for special needs. um, what is your, I mean, how can parents navigate or effectively communicate with healthcare professionals, therapists, or
mhm.
educator to ensure like their child's needs are met? Because we talk about school and safe space for the first thing that we can do to make the safe space at home first before out
Mm.
there. So how can parents navigate and in the effective communication?
Yeah. Well, it depends on your like your national health service. Um, Jaden and Robert were assigned a paediatrician when they were first diagnosed. And Jaden has also got autism inclusion team, which is somebody who goes into school once a month, see how he's getting on and everything like that. But it's not perfect. It's not a perfect system. Um, like for instance, I had Jaden's parents' evening uh, last month, February, and not one of his teachers knew he was autistic. So he's constantly getting told off for his outbursts and his knee jerk reactions. And I says to them, I says, "You do know he's autistic, don't you?" And they're like, "No." And I'm just kind of like, "Really?" Because he's in with the Senko in school, which is a special education coordinator, and the autism inclusion team's going on, but nothing like that. So Jaden is always getting consequences because he's a reactive child. So he's always getting detentions, he's always getting isolations and everything like that. So this is where the safe space at home can be so beneficial because he used to be scared to come home and tell me that he had a detention. And I was like, why? It's a detention. Because I know how stupid the detentions can be for. A dried up glue stick can get you an hour's detention. A pair of white socks can get you an hour's detention. Rolled up blazer sleeves when on a hot day can get you an hour detention per sleeve. 1 minute late can get you an hour's detention. 1 minute late to class halfway through can get you a detention. You're not
Mm-hmm.
allowed to ask to go to the toilet. If you ask to go to the toilet, it's an hour's detention. And I'm just kind of like, why are you so scared? At least if you're getting a detention, you're getting it for something worthwhile getting it for. You're standing up for yourself. You're standing up for your friend. You're standing up for your brother. You're getting it for something worthwhile. But if he didn't have that, if he was coming home and I was constantly telling him off about getting detentions, who could he go to? Who could he go to help build him up if everybody's constantly stripping him away? So the schools can do what they like, but I will not allow the schools to get my boys down. They will not affect my boys mentally
Yeah.
like the school has with other. I mean, I know children who were 12 who were self harming because they could not cope with
Mm.
the the pressures at school. My youngest son's anxiety disorder didn't kick in until he went to high school because he was that scared of the teachers. It wasn't the other students. That we were scared to go to school because we were bullied by other students. But see now, it's the teachers the kids are terrified of. So it's providing that safe environment for them to come home to. And if they have been given an isolation, as long as they haven't harmed anybody, I don't see the damage. I really don't. I really don't. Like my oldest son, he is a musician. He released a single 2 years ago. He's working on his album. It's getting released this year. And he's sitting his A levels, and the school's told him to forget about his music and just concentrate on the schoolwork. And I'm like, how dare you? You don't know my child enough to tell him to do that.
Mm.
So if they haven't got anybody fighting their corner, who have they got?
Yeah.
And again,
I think.
that's the way I see my place as a parent. And it's not to tell them what they can and can't do. It's to support them when they need it.
Yeah. I think it's coming back to the trust with each other again, and freedom for our kids.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, it's freedom for them to know themselves because, like, Jaden is very, very academic. So
Mm.
you can sit him in front of a computer and he'll write up a computer program. He's very, very clever. Brandon, he's very creative. So that's why he's very good at art. He's very good at music. He's very good at writing, everything like that. But then you've got Robert, my youngest. He's landscaping my garden. He's very much a hands-on child. He will go in and get his hands dirty. So, excuse me, that's three children I've got, and each one of them have got three different learning styles. But the school wants them to learn all the same way. So it's like, who's out of date? Because you're not going to tell my children they're doing it wrong. They're just doing it the way they know best.
Mm. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think this is something that all of the parents should know, that every person has a um, different skills, different perspective, even including our kids, because they started to learn what is going on with life, what is going on with everything around the world and everything. So, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I think telling them to, you must do that, you must do what I want you to do, and blah 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 and blah blah blah. I think this is something that as a parent we must avoid that, instead of guide them and support them what they want to be.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hmm. And again, Stacy, talking about this communication with our kids,
Mm-hmm.
and what does self care play for parents of special needs children, or what are some practical self care tips you recommend?
Yeah.
Because we talk about do that, no freedom for our kids, or other people
Mm.
telling you should stop the music. It's not going to work.
No.
Mm.
No. I'm glad you brought that up, to be fair, because that's one of the things that I'm hoping to incorporate in one of my workshops is
Ah,
how to avoid parent burnt out.
yeah.
Yeah. So it's bringing up a special needs children can be very, very difficult because some people, I know there's some people who haven't got the support system there who will take the child for a night. There is organisations who can give you a respite, which is they take the child away for a weekend to give you space.
Okay.
But if that's not the case and you are flying solo with this is where you take charge of the situation. And instead of making it as stressful, you try and make it as fun as possible because the stress lifts then. You're not dealing with a stressful situation. You're dealing with a fun situation. You're dealing with a situation that is getting you and your child closer together instead of these fighting. Like today is an extremely windy day here in Birmingham. And I know if I walk into town, there's going to be parents there with kids with kites. And the kids are getting burnt out because they're running about all day and they're, again, the visual with this kite, there is so many free solutions that you can go through where it doesn't feel like work, that you're keeping your child under wraps. Get them out there, get them experiencing, give them something to talk about. Because I know there's a lot of parents who keep their special needs children indoors for fear of upsetting public, for fear of being judged, being told that they're bad parents. Do you know what? I'm going to be bluntly honest here. To hell with them. Because unless they have walked 5 minutes in your shoes, they do not have any right in telling you how your child should be. So you go out there and you have fun with this little child who you have brought into this world. I don't care if you're the mum or the dad or both. This is your child. Society's got a lot to answer for when it comes to the way people should behave.
Mm.
Who says who should behave in what way? As long as they are not harming anybody, that's all my argument comes down to. They're not harming themselves, their child, or anybody else. Crack on. Have as much fun as you like. There's a whole world out there to be explored, and I know that some autistic kids and special needs kids love that kind of, like, oh, what is it? Oh, I can't think of the words. That
Game or
interaction, that
okay.
interaction,
Yeah, yeah. Mm.
that stimulation, that mental stimulation to get out there and experience. Because behind, and this is very important, not every child is a bad child. The behaviour's bad, but there's usually a reason behind that behaviour. The child is always going to be a child. It's like one of the parents I was working with in my son's primary school. She says to me, how can I get him to do what I want? And I says, right, I said, just let's run through what he's usually like. And she was saying that he's always doing stuff wrong. And I went, right. She says he's always nasty, he swears at me and he picks on his little brother and sister and stuff. And I was like, right. I says, but what do you say to him when he does something right? Oh no, I never noticed that. I was like, what do you mean you never noticed when he's doing something right? She says, well, that's what he was supposed to be doing, so he shouldn't get a praise for that, but he should get told off when he does something wrong. And I says, he's screaming for attention here. I says, that's how come he's constantly naughty, because that's the only time you give him attention. She says, but it's bad attention. I says, it doesn't matter, it's attention. I say, so try and praise him in the good stuff that he does, that was a very good boy. Test him the next time and say, right, I'll tell you what, how about next time if I don't ask you and you do it, I'll be watching out for you. So she changed her dynamic. Instead of constantly telling them off about the naughty stuff, she started praising them on the good stuff. And she came back, she says his behaviour's completely changed. So there is always a reason behind the bad behaviour.
Yeah.
There's something missing from the child's life, and being naughty can sometimes be the only way they can communicate it. Find out, this is where the understanding comes in. Find out what it is it's missing that the child's trying to fill with this behaviour.
Yeah. It's interesting about this, Stacy. You know, the self care for parents. Sometimes they are more focusing on something else or more comparison about what other people are gonna think about me if I bring my special needs child, or oh, that people is going to judge me because of something like this, or maybe for example I feel ashamed because whatever, blah blah blah, and this kind of thing. So it come into my mind about what is, and I can say that, one thing also that is important here to remember, like the bad behavior, usually there is a reason behind it. Sometimes we didn't know what to say because it behind something, behind of the bad behaviors, there's a reason behind it. It's just maybe this person doesn't know how to express, how
Mm-hmm.
to deliver about this emotion. So this is why, as a parent, um, it's very important to have a self care for for
Yeah.
for for themselves. And it comes to the curiosity about how can parents, maintain a positive mindset or resilience when faced with challenge or
Mm-hmm.
challenges associated with parenting a special needs child, because we talk about judgmental comparison. How can parents maintain all of these positive mindset and resilience? Because it's
Okay.
not only for special needs parents, for all of
Yeah.
us, I can say. Yeah.
Mm. Yeah, yeah. I mean, there's some. I know there's kids out there that have not been diagnosed that they can still challenge. They can really challenge.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, like take me for instance. I'm the youngest of three, and my mum says I was worse than my two brothers put together. My mum says I was vicious when I was a child. But that was influence rather than a special needs. But I love what you said there. It's not so much about positivity. Positivity will only work so far if you haven't got the consistency at the back of it.
Mm.
But the word that you mentioned that was really important is resilience. It's being resilient. It's rolling up your sleeves and getting the work done. Um, and it can be quite hard to not get into that mode of burnt out. But the more and more you work to build the trust in the relationship between you and your child, the less chance in the long run you will have of being burnt out. So it's keeping in mind what outcome that you and the child want, not just you, not just the parent, but you and the child want, and how you can work together. Because it's basically like a partnership. It really is. It's a relationship like any other. It's going to be tested. It's not going to be plain sailing all the time. You're going to hit some rocky roads. But that's the relationship evolving. And I can remember being in one of my parenting groups, and one of the parents that was sitting there, he says to me, he says, I just want my child to be obedient. And I just went, I'm really sorry. I says, but dogs are obedient. I says, children are supposed to test. That's how they learn. Children are supposed to push boundaries. That's how they learn. If a child is too passive, that's when I would worry. That's when I would go, right, he's not learning here. I need to find out what's going on. I want to find out. So it's it's taking the good with the bad, but it's also seeing the bad as progress rather than seeing it as it's not going anywhere, that he's stuck, that the child's bad, the child's naughty, I'm a bad parent. No, it's all progress, because this is another part of the child that you didn't know could show, and you come up with a solution. Everything has a solution.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everything
Everything
has a
has a
solution.
solution.
Yeah.
Indeed, indeed, I love that one. Because sometimes, um, well, I can see many people are actually, if there is something stuck in there, they rather giving up, or okay, I stop doing this because I don't know how to find a solution. But it is actually that everything that happened, there's always solution as long
Mm.
as we believe in it.
Yeah.
That's yeah, that's it's amazing. Okay, with all of this, um, and all of the story, your personal, and how building a resilience as a parents, especially for special needs child. So now come to the mentorship that you're working, and you're also building your life coaching business specialized on the special needs child, and you also now you have work with the few people who need a special needs child to. Do you have any success story that you can share for all of us who's watching this, or any examples whose parents has overcome this significant challenge? Or
Mm,
maybe the people that you help or anything. You have an experience, an example.
yeah, yeah. Um, I was one of my clients that I'm still like working with just now. Um, she has got a 20-year-old who was physically disabled and also a mental health issue. And all she wanted was a child to because she was because she was 20, she wanted a child out the house. She wanted her up. She wanted her to be moved out. She's an adult now and everything like that. But my client was very much, this is my way, and if you don't like it, you can leave. So luckily, she was very receptive because sometimes parents don't like to be challenged in their parenting skills. They really don't, because they're working with the best that they know how. So it was quite tricky to say, right, your daughter's your daughter. Let's see what part you're playing in it. And it was a series of questions that I gave her, and it was how to be honest in the situation. And I says, go through these questions, your homework, and I want you to see how honest you can be with yourself at the part that you're playing in this mother and daughter relationship. But 2 days later, I got a message. She went, oh my God. She says, I cannot believe what I've been doing to my child. She says, I am so hell bent that everything has got to go my way at all times. She says, I didn't see what I was actually doing to my daughter. She says, I wanted her to get up and get out. She says, but because of her physical disability and her mental disability, I never saw that she wasn't ready for that. So that's complete. She says it completely changed the dynamic of her and her daughter's relationship. They are now starting to talk to each other. The
Mm.
daughter hated her mum at one point, and now they're starting to actually talk to each other and spend time with each other. She's given her that quality time to listen to what her daughter needs rather than what the mum wants her daughter to do. And she says it's completely changed. So the only reason I'm still working with her is because she knows that there's work inside her that needs to change, not so much with her daughter as with her. So that's the work we're continually doing. We go there first. We go there first. We lead by example.
I love this.
We cannot tell our children what to do.
Yeah. Mm.
We cannot tell our children how to live life.
Yeah.
We can keep them safe and we can lead by example. And that, I mean, the difference in her was, it was like chalk and cheese. It was totally
Mm.
different.
Yeah.
So,
Wow. Lead by example.
mhm,
It's start from yourself first,
mhm,
so then the connection it will be there. I mean, this is so interesting. It's not only for the special needs or only, right?
mhm,
What I'm saying here is also the experience for all of the people who's watching the video, this
mhm,
video. I mean, yes, it's really important. It come from the and start from ourselves first, then
mhm.
everything will come. And
Again,
I think also, yeah,
it's not just with parents, it's even any relationship.
yeah,
Any
yeah,
meaningful relationship, when you see it in incongruence, if there's
yeah,
something that aligns, then instead of going, well, why aren't you doing this? Just say, right, okay, what is it? Because it's like the discussion I had with somebody yesterday. Me and my partner George, we could have an argument, and he'll go upstairs in his man cave and just sit there and and silence. And I'll
Mhm.
go, right, what happened? But instead of looking at his behaviour, going, oh my God, he's a typical bloke, he's sitting upstairs in a huff and whatever, I looked
Mm.
at me and I was like, right, how did that come across?
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, I was condescending. I was talking down to him. And I thought, I can understand why he didn't appreciate that. Then I went back up, and then that was when we had a proper conversation, and it sorted
Amazing.
everything out. We are so
Yeah.
quick to blame others.
Ooh, this is so common, I think, in life.
Mm,
Yeah. In every, like, many relationship, I can tell. Relationship with the family, relationship with um, colleague, like at the workplace or anything. It's like
yeah,
like you just mentioned, look at ourselves first instead of pointing finger to others. So thank you so much for bringing up that. And Stacy, I heard you also building some kind of community with your colleague about networking and support. Now, how
mm,
important it is for parents to build a support network, and how it's strategies, or how do you actually nurturing this network to help all the parents who has this kind of challenge in their life.
I think it's very important because
Mm,
being a parent, and not only a special needs parent, being a parent in general can be very isolating for people.
yeah.
Excuse me. Because everybody thinks they're on their own. Everybody thinks they're going through these struggles on their own. And again, if I can self-disclose a little bit, I was working with a parent who had a special needs child, and I was talking to her about the issues that I was going through with our Jaden and our Robert, and how I managed to turn it around. And she just kind of like, she went, "Oh my God, I thought I was the only person that was going through this." And I went, "No." But because she didn't like taking her son out, she just stayed at home all the time. I want to raise awareness that it's okay for parents to be vulnerable. Take your
Yeah.
children out. Let them know that there's a whole world out there. Anybody who comes up to you and says about your child should behave in a certain way, that says more about that person than it does about you and your child. I want That's the type of community I want to build, especially in my local community, as parent hubs or parent groups where you support each other. And what I would like to build is a solution focused group rather than just turning up and complaining about what's not there, complaining about how you're being treated, complaining about how your kids are behaving. There's space for that, but I want it to be a solution focused. Right, this is what's going on. So, what can we put in place to make it better? That's what
Yeah.
I'm looking towards. What can we put in place to make it better?
Yeah. So again, the community and network is very important for us as a parent, so that then we can actually help each other, especially the people who has the same journey, having have the special need child. I think it's so important. Otherwise, it's gonna be isolated, and we're not growing too as a person. I must
Mm-hmm.
say here, yeah. Well,
Mm-hmm.
interesting one, Stacy. So now, um, it's been amazing. But I want now, as a last question for you. Well, not a question. What is one message that you would like to share to all of the people who has um, the situation as a parent with the special needs child, or as a parent in general? Do you have any message for all of?
Any message?
Yeah.
I think being a parent has been lost in translation. all of a sudden it's such a struggle for everybody to be a parent. It's up to us as parents to make it as enjoyable as possible because they
Mm,
don't stay little for long.
yeah.
And next thing you know, they're buying constant tickets to go to Manchester for 4 days, and you're kind of like, what's happened to my little child?
Yeah.
So it's enjoy them. As difficult as it can be sometimes, they're only communicating from you to you from how they know how to. Once you understand that, really enjoy the process. Enjoy the process of understanding and getting to know the child rather than just seeing the behaviour.
Wow. Wow. Wonderful.
Oh,
I
I'm
think,
emotional. Sure, it kills me whenever I think of that. Yeah.
I know. It's oh gosh.
Yeah.
Well, I hope you're okay with your calf, Stacy. We've been have a lot of amazing discussion and wonderful insight from you too. Thank you very much for being here. I'm so sorry for your health because I about the calf. I hope you're okay and please get better soon.
Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah,
Yeah.
indeed about the enjoyable as possible
Mhm.
and enjoy the process because here's the thing, the more actually you're not enjoying the process, the more you're getting forced, the more you're getting pressure from
Mhm.
all of the inside of your mind, because if we want to have something out there,
Mhm.
right, if we not enjoy, there's going to be a lot of burden, pressure and things,
Yeah.
otherwise everything getting heavy. And thank you so much for your message.
Mhm. Can I just say
And
one more thing before I go?
oh, please, yeah, sure.
We can be very influenced by outside people and how we do things and
Yeah,
how we should be doing things. Drown them out. If they're not helping, don't make them a part of it. Don't make them a part of the problem if they're not willing to be a part of the solution.
wow.
Okay,
Oh, I'll take it as a takeaway for this one. So thank you very much for being here with me,
no problem.
and it's an honor for me to have you here. Thank you so much. And um, yeah, just gonna say it's been amazing and a wonderful conversation, and I love this. So yeah, and thank you so much, Stacy. We'll just say goodbye with all of the audience who's watching our video today. Thank you so much for watching, and bye.
Hi.